Hey everyone, this is Jack from Jack Reads Stories. It is 3:43 in the morning. I worked pretty much all night on this, so here it is. This one's called Jane Road. It was June 25th, 1974. Officer Phil Granger, or Nails as they called him, was not a man for the soft. While relatively new to town, he already had a reputation. He didn't really chat with many. If you asked him about his past, perhaps what made him become a police officer, he'd only reply, "Well, I was in the service." He would leave it at that. He wasn't particularly tall. His hat was, his hat hid a buzz cut. Muscular man. You could tell by looking at him he was in the service. They called him they called him Nails because when there was trouble, his quiet demeanor changed. When there was trouble, he became the trouble. Others who worked with him, as well as people in the community, saw him knock out mobsters and drag them to the car, then physically throw them in a cell. They saw him get harassed by people, something police go through, and talk back so viciously, full grown men broke down in tears. You see, he took his job seriously. He expected your respect, nothing less. You give him anything less, you'd regret it. To most, he had no soft spot, and to most, they'd be correct. But everyone has one, right? His was his dog. He stopped by his house every day at lunchtime. He took him out sometimes for a walk. Sometimes for a walk. His name was Winger after a joke his ex made about him being a great wingman. She didn't last long. Truthfully, Phil loved his home. He looked forward to coming back every day after a trying day. This was his oasis, and Winger was always happy to greet him. Big open mouth, tongue out, ready to play. Then there was Jerry. He was obnoxious. Monster of a man. Easily 7 foot tall. Massive hands, arms. He had a beard reminiscent of Blackbeard. Usually had a baseball cap on. The only thing bigger than Jerry's physique was his mouth. A classic trash talker. There was no slowing Jerry down. There was no one in this small potatoes town that was going to stop him from much of anything. He was crooked. He was a thief. He was the guy you called when you wanted a problem solved. "Hey, Jerry, Tony won't stop talking." "Well, let's shut him up." Jerry was a monster of a man. In every way, a monster of a man. But he was not evil. Not not all the way. He was simply taught at a young age by his father a man has to do what he has to do to survive. His father was one of the biggest cons in America. Uh, he was never caught. Around the time of Jerry's 16th birthday, his father disappeared, never to be seen again. Through a series of mishaps, Jerry found himself in this small town. He never left, though. At times he wanted to, especially on days like today. You see, it started raining uh, in the early evening the night before, and it didn't stop. This was not the gentle, sacred rain of ageless poetry. This was thunder, thunderous roaring of ruthless water. Jerry hated this. He hated the thought of being cold and wet, but Jerry had things to do. Jerry always went to church every day at 11. He wasn't particularly religious, unless you count superstition as a religion. He knew he did wrong in his life, and it was important to him to tell something he was sorry. He refused to be late. Today was close. He rushed out the door into the rain. It was 2:30. It was around 2:30 in the afternoon. Jane, Lauren left early to brave the storm. She had to go pick up her daughter from school. Usually, usually doesn't feel like it, but today it seemed like a chore. Lauren loved being a mother. Her daughter, Jane, was the greatest gift the world ever given her. It brought her such joy picking her up from school and hearing about Jane's day. Jane was one of the few kids who that would actually talk about it. Lauren opened the door to her station wagon and had a moment of panic. She could not remember if she gave Jane her rain jacket that morning. It was a little late now, but still she went back inside and looked. As she opened the door, the power went out. "Oh, great," she said, and opened the closet. There was a flashlight on a shelf on the top. She grabbed it and turned it on and looked around. "How can you find anything in here?" She rummaged around. She could not find the jacket, which was good. At least she thought it was. She tried to put it out of her mind as she opened the door and faced the rain again. She left forgetting her own jacket for the second time. She backed out of her driveway, turned on her wipers, and slowly crept down her street. She turned down Leaf Road, trying to focus her mind on the road, remembering almost as an afterthought that she had promised her sister she'd pick up her son. They went to the same school. They lived on Leaf. Shouldn't be that big of an issue, she thought. It was just the rain. It's not like it was snow, she told herself. Jerry sat a long while after Mass. He thought it was an act of taking refuge from the weather, but maybe there was more to it. He sat in quiet reflection, rare for him. He thought of the reading today. It was on Samson. The idea of sacrifice, even in a distorted way, seemed beautiful to him. He pondered this as he stepped back outside into the continuing downpour. Jerry didn't drive. He took the bus sometimes, but his commute to church was close enough. Was a close enough distance. He always walked. All he really had to do was walk down Leaf. It was easy. The town itself was strange. There was rundown buildings and apartments up until Leaf Road, and then after that was clear, unashamed wealth. Leaf was the divider because it was where the wealth was the clearest. The whole road was lined with mansions, huge flashy cars, and giant lawns. As he was walking, he noticed something that seemed wrong on a catastrophic level. Calling all cars, there's a reported road collapse on Leaf around 480. A big sinkhole. A big sinkhole. At least one vehicle fell in. or one vehicle is stuck inside. Footnotes, Officer Granger heard this, uh, heard this, put his car in drive, put the lights on, sped down the road. He he radioed that he was responding on the way. Within 5 minutes, he was on the scene. The rain still hadn't let up. Granger got Granger had thought it odd, the report, but there wasn't time for consideration. In his haste, he got out of his car and peered down into what seemed like a never ending abyss. It was a massive hole in the middle of the road. A crowd started to gather, which usually wasn't great, but the given situation, it was helpful. Quickly looking down, he saw the dilemma. There was a station wagon all the way at the bottom. Granger, handwriting, still bad. Granger had to act. He called for a ladder, a rope, anything. He needed to get down. Someone in the crowd, lived next door, ran off and fetched a rope. Just as he was putting it together, what he needed to do, he saw a face in the crowd. Monster of a man. They locked eyes. He remembered him, though his name escaped him. It was Jerry, and Jerry remembered exactly who he was. Officer Granger was one of the 3 people in town who wasn't afraid of him. He knew this because he arrested him, verbally abusing him the whole time in the squad car. Jerry harassing him back. Real trash talkers, these two. It didn't matter today. Today they were brothers. Jerry grabbed the rope and tied them to a tree close by. The two declined down into the cavernous abyss, filling quickly with water. The pair saw the vehicle laying upside down on the watery ground. There was screaming from inside. Jerry looked in the front. Granger looked in the back. They pulled Lauren out as the other pulled out the kids. The water was rising, and it seemed like a lot of debris was also coming in the hole. It was very deep. The biggest problem though was that it wasn't exactly even. It created a small tunnel in which there was earth above the 5 of them. The rescuers had to act fast. They instructed Lauren to climb on Jerry's back. She protested at first, but Officer Granger said that he would remain there with the kids. Jerry was looking at mud and water fall, and was out of patience. He grabbed the boy, put him on his shoulders, then yelled back at Lauren, "Come on." Scared, she complied. Jerry, giant pull after pull, climbed his way, carried the 2 of them to the top, getting pelted with mud the whole way. He brought them to the top. They straggled for the ground. The crowd helped pull them up. Once he saw that they were safe, he rappelled down once more. More mud, more dirt coming in after him. He touched the ground. As he did, the 3 of them looked up and watched as the soaked top part of the hole fell upon them. The 3 of them were doomed. Lauren at the very top saw this and wept as the rain intensified. Lauren was never quite the same. The road was filled again, resurfaced it. Uh, Everything was brand new, but Lauren wasn't. The road was renamed Jane Road. She took Officer Granger's dog, who wasn't quite the same. She took in Officer Granger's dog, who wasn't quite the same. The rest of her days were quiet. The city renamed the road Jane Road. It wasn't the same. The mansions gloomed with darkness.